Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to City Skylines 2 in the city of Blackwater. Now, before we get into things, I got a lovely time-lapse for you. Kind of messing around with some of the mods. I got a bit more detailing going on, so I don't want to zoom in just yet. But I also just wanted to mention before we get into that, unfortunately, my voice has still been killing me the last few days. Especially when I raise my voice or I talk very loudly for long periods of time, which, as you can imagine, being a YouTuber is kind of my bread and butter, right? So it's been kind of difficult. So I decided, my girlfriend was kind of saying, like, maybe you've just strained your voice, just give yourself like a week off or something and see if you can, you know, just let it recover and repair. You're not really giving it a chance. So that's kind of what I did. But it hasn't gotten better. So I'm going to have to go to the doctor, find out what's going on there. Hopefully nothing too serious. But just wanted to mention that I might sound a little bit more subdued than otherwise normal. Okay, so a bit more relaxed tone, chill vibes and all that. But yeah, if you know, those are the reasons that there's been gaps in uploads, even more than usual. And if I sound like I'm bored, I'm not. I'm just, this is me just sounding relaxed, you know? If I was just talking with you like you're sitting right next to me, this is how it would be. Would people prefer this? Bob Ross style? A little bit ASMR in the ear? I don't know. Anyways, right, we're going to get into this time-lapse really quickly, and then afterwards we're going to get building. Let's begin. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, so this time-lapse is largely focused on the stuff we did in the previous episode, adding the detail and just some touch-ups and just cleaning up little bits that were put down in the previous episode, starting here with the soccer field over on the right side of the downtown area, which is temporarily called Elk Heights District for now. So I wanted to add in another pathway that went under the bridge to cut out to the new area we're going to be developing today, and I just thought we should just move things ever so slightly. So I'm using the Move It mod, amongst many other mods. I think in total I've got about 10 or 11, probably about 5 that are functional, a couple graphical, and then a couple for the radio. So it's all going to be in the description if you're curious what mods I'm using, and I just do it through Paradox mods. I've never used Thunderstone, which is like some other way of getting mods. I just haven't looked into it, so I've never done that before. So I'm just using them through Paradox mods, and it works great. Gotta say, got no issues with it so far. So I prefer the Steam Workshop, of course, but I'm actually quite impressed with how it works so far anyway. Right, so tucking in the soccer field a little bit closer to the car park and the road, adding that pedestrian walkway alongside the path I have. Using Move It allowed me to sort of clip them over each other and Anarchy a little bit and have it still functional, so that's quite nice. The line tool, such a lifesaver. As you can see, I could stretch out the light poles and have them be actually evenly spaced rather than trying to judge it by eye, inevitably getting one or two a little bit off. So that's been really good. And then you can kind of just keep that number consistent across your city, so it just looks, yeah, I guess just a lot better. Over towards the kind of financial district slash the high density offices, putting down some of the pavement surface just to kind of make the plazas look a little bit larger and part of the same building. The reason I don't drag it out from the building itself is, of course, if the building upgrades, it refreshes the textures and it will lose that, so I'd have to do it multiple times. Whereas if you just put it down yourself, chances are the building isn't going to change the texture, so even if it resets it and repositions it, your one is still going to blend into it just fine. So that's been working a lot better too. Redrew some of the buildings here to be a bit more uniform because they're all kind of different, which I thought would look good, but wasn't happy with it, so just got them all to be roughly the same size now. So to fill in the area between, so this is right across from the college, to fill in this area, you know, I'm extending some parts of buildings out, the ones that are already largely upgraded. So this one was level 3 already, so it's going to be a long time before it resets, if ever. So it was okay doing that. So sometimes I get a little bit lazy, but other times it's all custom, you know, putting down the grass. I decided to put a park in between the car park and these buildings here. Just a very small one as people cut through to get to the various places. So now we can evenly space out the benches, add in a fountain, space out the lights. And then I found the boulder model, which I thought looked really cool. These like big giant boulders that just, I don't know, break up the terrain a little bit, look a bit more natural, and then smaller rocks dotted around it and around them. Kept getting distracted and going off doing detailing in all these random places. I found these giant head statues, which I used quite a few times now throughout the episode, and I thought it would position well inside of the fountain because it's kind of a blank fountain, so it seemed to be suited to sitting inside there with some like little stones that kind of indicate you can kind of walk up to it. Then playing around with the, this is all me just kind of playing around with mods for the most part. So I was using the line tool, which comes with a curve and a radial tool built in. So built those radial flower beds. Decided to make another sort of playground here next to the buildings that are popping in. Just again, a free little piece of real estate here, a little triangle of terrain. And I'm like, yeah, this would be perfect for some swings you know, I wouldn't even call them a playhouse, these kind of things. And yeah, a little alley that kind of separates the buildings from it. So I decided to build a little kind of baked-in fence thing here. Using the texture tools on the ground, I think, also helps. You can kind of create your own pathways and entrances and stuff like that. Same fountain placed here, but this time no head placed in the center. I used standing stones going around the sides of it. Extended out some of the... Oh no, I don't think I did extend these out. These are custom-made tile surfaces that can operate as big plazas. So this is over by the 3 buildings that are in basically next to the bank. And I look for inspiration and consistency with the game. I often just look at what the other buildings' props use. So I noticed like they'll use these types of bushes, they'll use these types of benches, that sort of thing, or light poles, that kind of thing. And then you just choose them from the list and then pop them around, and it can look really natural. It's just like it's a bigger building, like the plot of the building looks a bit bigger. So quite happy with how this turns out. Also a little spoiler for later in the episode, we walk around a lot of these places because there's a first-person mod. So we'll be using that later, and a couple times I hop in, get down on the ground level, and just kind of walk around. It's really great as well. It's a really, really fun mod to play around with. Flower beds, bushes. The line tool just makes all of this so much more approachable, because not only can you just throw everything out in a line, you can then alternate things much more cleanly. Again, actually, I'll talk about that later in the episode too. So building out another plaza here, little gazebo at the back, sort of pathway that leads into the building, then the tile surface to break things up, flower beds dotted around, fountain, hedges, that sort of thing. Just trying to make it look somewhat more lived in. Obviously, there's a limited supply of props and things in the game. Look forward to more asset packs coming out, and also modders making their own custom models too. Where you can. One good thing about Paradox Mods actually is that you can support modders right from the mod page. That's something I've been advocating on Steam for a long time, which is, I feel like on the workshop, you know, underneath the author's page, just an optional download link or PayPal link or something would be good. A lot of creators put it in themselves, which is fine. But I just think it'd be good to actually do it with your, like, through Steam, like your Steam wallet money. Maybe Valve take like a low cut, you know, something like 5% or something, whatever. And that way, maybe even the developer could get a tiny percentage to really incentivize them to encourage mods. Maybe. It's a pretty crazy idea, but yeah, they'd be pretty supportive of a workshop if they got a little 3% rip from every optional contribution people made, right? I also thought it'd be kind of cool. This is just me on a little rant while I'm building a junction here. You know the way on Steam Workshop, you click subscribe. I think when you click subscribe, a little pop-up, optional, up to the author, should pop up and say like, yeah, subscribe free, or, you know, donate or something like that. And I'm sure 99% of people wouldn't click it. Maybe it would bother some people. I don't know. I just think the work is really good, and you know, it's so free. It's all free, and it's people's hobby a lot of the time. Some people it's their job or whatever, but I don't think it'd be that invasive to have little optional links that you don't have to use, you know. And then maybe a company could get a rip from it, so they're encouraged to kind of support mod tools, and that'd be a good way to get companies to do it, I think, because struggled for a long time with Creative Assembly, especially because I'm a big Total War fan, or used to be, and they just don't really see the value of mods, you know. Not too much anyway. And it's actually really interesting. Their data shows that mods don't do anything for their game, really, because it's just people who already bought the game will play the mods, rather than they can't see any real data showing that people buy the game for the mods. It's like, it's kind of interesting. When you actually show the data, it's kind of interesting. There are exceptions though. Obviously, they say like, you know, oh yeah, there's giant mods out there that will sell like crazy. They'll sell the base game like crazy, but they say that you know, they have to invest all this money in a tool so that someone might do that. It's kind of weird. Anyways, that's the junction. That's the time-lapse. Let's hop back over to the game. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, that's the time-lapse portion of the video over. Just really quickly, would like to ask people whether or not they like that sort of thing. Detailing in a time-lapse. Could do detailing in the main episode itself. It obviously takes a lot longer, and I do my little cuts to kind of speed that up a bit too. But I was wondering if people like that sort of thing, or if you'd rather just like the detailing be left to in between episodes and bigger picture stuff done overall, you know? Obviously you want to have a balance of the two, but if people don't like it, you know, just let me know. I'm just curious. Do people like the kind of getting into the nitty-gritty, building fountains, placing rocks and trees, that sort of thing? Or is it more about placing the large buildings and the overall infrastructure to support that sort of stuff? Like I said, possibly both is where I would fall, but some people might be like, nah, way prefer the latter rather than the former. Skip the detailing. We'll see that later, you know. Anyways, don't want to delay any further. We're just going to get straight into things. Just wanted to do a little bit of a sit rep on the city. Just a quick recap as the current situation, right? We're a huge city. It's 7:30 p.m. in May, which means we're fast approaching summertime, which means money will be a little bit more loose. We should probably be making a little bit more. Already making over 200,000 per hour, which is great. And our population is 42,400. It's just adjusting itself at the moment since some of the new buildings have gone down. And we're just resuming right after that time lapse, basically. Okay, now the little pips, what's going on? We've got high rent and not enough customers in certain places, right? So our low density households in Lilac Acres and also in Greystones, we've got a little bit of high rent there. Nothing too crazy, but ultimately that's what it is. And there's not much I can really do about it other than provide some low rent housing, which we've got nearby, but you know, it is what it is. And it seems to move about, and then also it seems to be getting less frequent since the patches, so that's good. The not enough customers thing, this is an interesting one because as the buildings are leveling up, they, I guess, have more demand, right? It's like, oh, we're level 5 now, we need more customers. That seems to be what's happening because they didn't have that problem until they leveled up. They do the same thing. And this place has been set for such a long time that it only popping up now is interesting. It seems to be a growth-based problem that we've run into there. So just going to leave it. I don't think there's anything I really need to do about it because as the houses grow, they also get more residents. So when they become level 4, they seem to have a few more that live in there, and level 5 and so on. So I'm hoping that it all balances out, that maybe if these grow and a few more people arrive to Millfield and the Brambles, they'll be able to support the demand that some of these places have. And worst case scenario is, you know, they become abandoned and a new restaurant pops up or something in the future, and it just works its way up the chain again. Ultimately, the game is having as many of these at the highest level so that you unlock the most lucrative, I suppose, unique buildings in these categories. I haven't unlocked any commercial signature buildings, but some of them say like they need level 5 built businesses, you know, at least 240 of them. I mean, that would be a huge feat, but that's what we're working towards in the game, is unlocking all these sort of buildings and being able to use them all. So obviously you want to maintain a balanced economy where everyone grows. That'd be the idea. So we have that little bit over on this side too. The Sunset Valley has a few buildings with not enough customers. Same out here. So we have massive commercial demand all the time. And I've tried to place them in areas where we do have a lot of, you know, demand for that, but also aesthetic areas where it can look kind of nice. So it's a bit of a balance. Anyway, so that's basically what's going on in the city right now. Let's get to the actual building. We're going to turn off day and night cycle for now. I'm running the SimCity soundtrack as part of one of the mods with the radio stations on. So that'll be the mod ExtendedRadio, which is like the foundation for adding other radio stations. And then this one is Simtropolis Network, I think. Simtropolis Radio Network, which has all the other games too, which is pretty cool. Almost every game anyway. Okay, still need to name this. This is still called Elkites, but anyways. Right, so what we're going to do today is add a subway linking both areas and then build out Elkites a little bit further since we've been updating it. So I'd said previously I wasn't going to add a subway to this side of the river because my whole vision was that this is like a UK sort of town, and you would never have a subway running through like a town of a few thousand people. That'd just be insane. Not to take these numbers literally down here on the, you know, because there would be more people living in a city like this, but generally speaking, let's say 20,000 people living in a city, or a town, you're not really going to have a subway running underneath it. However, where I've changed my mind a little bit and caved to some of the comments on connecting these areas a bit better is that we're right next to a city. So you can imagine that as the city grows and expands, that the public transport does extend to the boroughs around it. I mean, that is the thing that happens. So some people wanted me to build trams over pedestrian crossings and stuff like that. Not going to do any of that. Instead, what we'll do is just run our underground into this train station, and that'll be it. Maybe in the future, if this place grew a lot more, we could extend it so there's another stop up here or something. They're connected in 2 places across the river to create a sort of closed loop. So that's a potential possibility too. So anyways, what we're going to do, we already have our subway yard right down here, ready to go, aiming towards, you know, a soon-to-be tunnel that's going to cut through, and then we're going to connect it over to here. Now, before we do that, we have a underground subway station here, but there's no nice way in getting up and down with our little crossing here, so I'm just going to push it back. It's not connected to anything, by the way. I placed this just knowing that, you know, eventually something's going to go there. So we're going to do that, and we're going to connect this what we do, snap to existing geometry, 90-degree angles, please. And I suppose why not be on the zone grid? And that actually looks like the angle is the exact same, so that's perfect if that's the case. Yeah, looking good. All right, good. So now people will be able to come up, just get straight onto the path and move in. Could do a bit of detailing to make the path look like it's extending into the building itself, but of course can't actually do that. Maybe with Anarchy we could just graphically do that. What would that look like? It's all right. Like, they're not actually going to use it, but just even the oh my god, is she going to use it? Maybe. Okay, then Anarchy it is. Try to use Anarchy a bit more sparingly, but maybe something like that. And can we bend it at all? It's a bit difficult because this building's actually here right now, but something like that maybe even just be fine. I'll clean it up, but that, yeah, that kind of works, having the path go straight in. I just realized something, actually. I'm going to delete this. I just realized something that would make much more sense with this. That can stay there, I guess. Which is just to connect to the side of the building itself. And now we are, like, basically connected, so it's like one thing. Yeah, so if you let me know which one you preferred. Something about it actually overlapping was kind of nice, but I realized this would be the vanilla way to do it, right? Just actually go side a building and go connect like that. It's nice seeing all the people moving across now. Right, so as we can see, we have disconnected stops underneath the ground. So we go to our subway thing. We need another stop as well, by the way, so I want 3. So another underground subway station, and we're going to place it somewhere out here. Let's just go with, yeah, just before that junction actually might be a good spot. Maybe just a bit further back in case you want to have an overpass as well. Alright, so another one there. So these are going to be kind of tough to see if we go underground. By the way, people have said, if you want to remove the overlay, you know the way it's, you know, the map is changed to white now, we have an overlay active. You used to be able to get rid of it by pressing I, but that doesn't work anymore. I don't know how you get rid of it. People have commented, multiple people said, press escape. Oh, that did work. Okay, well, I eat my words on that one. But when I was trying it with something else over here, I tried building a crematorium. And I couldn't see the road, so if I press escape, it gets rid of me even using the crematorium. So I guess it's inconsistent? I don't know. That was so surprising that it worked there, but it did. Anyways. Just thought I would mention that. So, we have our line connecting there. So we have to connect it from over here. We have our tunnel waiting to connect in. So let's just begin. This might be a little tricky, but we'll see how we get on. So we just need our double subway track. And I'll turn off most things. 90-degree angles, I guess, could be on. Don't know if we really need much else. Guidelines, just in case. All right, we'll go down. That's negative 20 meters, which I think is the kind of standard drop that you want. And I want the tunnel to be basically like there, and then we just be in the tunnel from then on, which I think is working. Let me just leave that as a connection. How does that look? Not completely terrible. I've seen it much... Whoa. What's going on there? But yeah, I've seen it worse. That's not too bad. They could do with some cleaning up, and I'm sure it'd be fine. What I'm going to do now is actually just connect the other ones together, these stops first, and then we can decide where we connect in. So yeah, it looks like 20 meters underground is the way to go. And ultimately we need to go up and connect over to that. So let's just go pretty far up. And bring this one pretty far over. 90 degrees, fine. Something like that. And then we'll just go curve, angle. We have our guidelines on. 90 degrees. Connect across. So that is... Oh, it's almost perfect. Oh, no, it's not. So I was looking at the angle, not the distance. So that's 226 meters up. And that'd be 226 about there. There we go. Right, so there we go. An even angle. Decent turn. Alright, so this is our way into the network. Now, you could loop it around and, like, cut in there, but I feel like we could just feed in, right? We don't have to do anything too crazy. So let's just go... straight line onto our kind of main road here, like so, and then we'll just bring this along sort of on a 90 degree as well until we get to about the same distance, which was 89, and that could just connect straight in like that. Now obviously the turn is too sharp there, so we'll go maybe to about, that's 250, so I would say maybe 180, so that gives us about 70 meters of room. Oh, we could go a little bit further back. 140. All right, anyways, now we'll switch to a one-way subway track. And it'll start on the sort of left. We'll do curved, connect into there, and bring this to 100. So that's 116 and 100. So 116. Now we'll do the same, but the opposite. Okay, so that seems all right. Now, can we upgrade this down below? Not that it really matters too much, but just to bend it just a little bit. All right, so we've got a left to right turn as we come out from the maintenance yard, right? The subway maintenance yard is now hooked up. That's all good. So that's what we got. Pretty simple. And now we need to bring this pretty much straight across and to connect into our underground subway here. So the subway interface, 50,000 can be added directly under the train station. And there it is. Simple as that. Now, a bit tricky because we have to go under a river and then come up to this height all in that amount of time. So that's kind of difficult. And then we're going to have to turn and bend towards the... Oh, actually, I just realized something. Maybe we should go even start to begin our descent even further back. Probably makes sense. Yeah, so we're negative 20 meters. We're going to have to go down to negative 40. That's going to be a 3% decline. 3.5, just about there. And now we've got a negative 6, which isn't too bad either. Just trying to think of a good spot for this to then go forward, and then it's going to have to turn and start to come back up. I mean, that works, apparently. Alright, that's the way we've got it. It kind of looks a bit weird there, but it's just the way it is, I guess. Right, so we go down. Yeah, we go straight north, curve, and then begin our we kind of begin our descent even here. Go down and down and down, and we should be under the water the whole way, so we can't see anything. I'm actually running one other little... I think it's the only graphical mod, actually, which is to improve the look of the water. I think it's fantastic. It's called Water Visual Tweaks. Highly recommend it. Doesn't change the physics or the gameplay of the water, just the look of it. And it definitely looks a lot more realistic, I think. Alright, anyways, that wasn't too bad. So we're connected in now. Now we just grab our subway line tool, and we'll start with this spot right here, left side first. We'll connect up to our first point here. If we can find it, there we are. And this is going to go all the way across the river now. And then we just connect it back, right? We don't have to do anything else. I'm struggling to see it. There we go. Connect it on the other side now. Alright, that's our line done. So, subway line 1. We'll just leave it at subway line 1. I can't think of a name right now. And 2 vehicles alternating back and forth. Cool. So it's not online yet, so we just activate this. And what I'm also going to do is deactivate the train station. So the west to east river link, train link, is now offline. That's gone. So if people want to get across, they have to use the subway, but they go to the same place. They go to the train station to do so. They just go underground. And yeah, we'll leave it running for just a little bit and see, do we notice anything? All right, so in the meantime, another thing I wanted to do is move our crematorium here, which is what I mentioned earlier. So I just want to quickly move these roads slightly closer to the wall. Just a little bit. And that'll give me a bit more breathing room to put the crematorium in. Crematorium, boom. So yeah, people said move it near the hospital. I agree. Obviously, I think they kind of meant next to the hospital. We're going to be across the road from the hospital, but I still think it's relatively close, and it kind of makes sense at this turn where we're coming in, so I think this will be a good spot for it. Now, we're a little misshapen, or we could be misshapen if we want to be, which is to just try and fit to this area. Yeah, so hedges and trees can go there, and then we just need a road that kind of connects us in on this side. Now, can you, just out of curiosity, if I just did that, is that enough? No, it's not. So what about an alley that just came straight across? That works. Alright, and if we just want to mirror what's going on the other side here. Bonk, bonk. Get rid of some of these crosswalks because they're not needed. And what else? Anything else? Like, we'll clean it up with some detailing and stuff, but I think that's good enough. Could even put some trees on this side too, I think. Well, makes sense. We'll put in our extra garage as far up as we can go here. And then there'll be room for... Yeah, there's room for 2. Good. Garages can fit along the side, and this allows us to cover it with trees and mask it just a little bit. So I'll just show some people how I've done the detailing now that, you know, you've seen it in the time lapse and stuff, but this gives me a better way of actually showing it. So if we go for hedge, so this is using the developer tool. So you type dash developer mode in the launch settings. So dash, like a minus, and then developer is lowercase, and then mode is a capital M, and it's all one word, so there's no spaces. So dash developer mode, and then you just launch the game. So you do that in the launch options on Steam. Right click the game properties, launch options, type that in, close it, and then open the game, and then you have this. So yeah, so typing in hedge, we have high hedge 1, 2, etc. I think piece is the one that we actually want. So they're using clearly here this piece, right? Or it might be this one actually, piece number 2. And now, thanks to the line tool mod, we can just grab that. Now, one of the drawbacks of this mod is you can't rotate the way you normally would. You have to instead increase rotation down here. So we just have to do that until we kind of get it in line with where we want. So then there's, if you hold control, you can do more fine point movements. So that looks good. 72 degrees seems to be right in line with what we want. So fence mode. So fence mode automatically aligns and places objects continuously end to end like a fence. Doesn't always work, because sometimes it uses the halfway point. So we'll start at the halfway point in the, not that I'm saying that this bit didn't work, but other objects might only use half of their point rather than the full length. So we start at the halfway point just for this though. We can get our corner on there. And yeah, that seems good, right? That actually worked out quite well, the length of that. And that looks just like a bit more separated now. And again, so now we need to rotate again. So 90, we need to rotate 90 degrees. There we go. So our hedge continues all the way up this way. So that looks really good. I think that fits in quite nicely because that's what the building uses. And if we use Anarchy, we can just overlap a little bit on the building itself. There we go. Yeah, quite happy with that. And then we could do a bunch of different things down here for detailing. Now, if the placement isn't, if you're not quite happy with it, we could use the Move It tool. And you could just hold Shift and select different ones. Now, there used to be, in the old Move It, you could drag a box over things and then toggle the things you wanted on or off in that selection, which is always pretty nice. But this allows me now to kind of close the gap here with a bit more precision. And if we wanted, there's no copy tool yet, I don't think, but the copy tool was great in City Skylines 1 because you could, the mod, so you could just copy this and just drag it right in front of itself. So I just thought I would show that. It's a little bit of detail. You can see how long these things can take and how bogged down you could get with that sort of thing, but I think it's great. Very last thing then, I suppose just in this area, we can grab alder. They look like alder trees to me. It could be chestnut, actually. Yeah, they're chestnut. So we could get some chestnut trees, do our line tool again, drag them out this way. So turn off fence mode because it's not a fence, not really. But we can do fixed length, which is usually quite nice, and then lower this number down a bit just so that they're a bit closer, to, a bit more compact. So what's the length of those? Looks like it's about 8 meters between trees. So we'll go with that. And there we go. Now, another nice tip is once you do something like that, you could then use like a flower bush, for instance. And if you start with the same spacing, you'll be able to place them, you know, right in beside each other. So we could do that, and then we could grab a different bush and go out the other way, and it should just line up where they're all basically next to each other. So it makes life so much easier, so much quicker. Brilliant. Love it. Alright, so there you go. That's a bit of detailing. So that's the stuff that I would have been doing here, you know, to add in like all the bushes and just different trees and benches and light poles. So it's so much quicker now because we have a few mods to help us out. So shout out to the modding community. Doing God's work. Doing Colossal Order's work. Wow, a lot of people getting the tram. We should see almost no one using this in the future because we've turned off the train here now. And yet some people are actually still making their way up there. So I don't know if there's 1 or 2 more trains running or something, but that line has now been turned off. We would expect to see everyone coming back down here to get the tram over to their nearest underground is kind of what you'd expect. And the tram will take you all the way around now, which is pretty good. Cool. All right, so those are 2 things that I wanted to have active. I'm just going to turn off Anarchy mode now as well. It's a good habit just to get rid of it. What else is on the docket for things to do? Well, I wanted to build out this area a lot more, so let's begin that process, shall we? So we'll start with a regular 2-lane. Actually, no, we'll go with a 4-lane. Why not? 4-lane road coming down and going straight across from here. 90-degree angle. So 90 degrees, zoning cell length, and snap to the zone grid. Start right here. And this just needs to go all the way across. Now that that's being toggled, we've aligned to the grid, but now we can turn it off. Just go straight across then. Is that what I want to have happen? Yeah. That keeps our zoning looking good. I'm also using a mod that allows me to choose which side the zoning goes on. So at the moment it'll choose both sides. But if you weren't happy with some zoning, let's try this now just as an example. We'll do right side only, open zoning tool. Click. So now the zoning is on the right side of this segment only. Same with here. That's pretty cool, right? And if you go default, you just pop it back. No big deal. But you've seen me doing that with pathways and stuff before, trying to cut things off. And this again was a feature of the previous game. In the actual previous game, it was one of the latest updates to that game. But it still hadn't made its way over here. So again, fantastic mod. Zoning mode options. So just leave that off. Okay, looking good. So we need to kind of configure then the spacing for where we want. This is going to be residential. So in Elk Heights, we have a bunch of these buildings here, which are all offices, right? So offices, offices, offices. We have a bank. We then have a few more smaller offices down here, which are actually doing very well. We have the post office itself, the police headquarters, and then we have a commercial street that's going all the way up and around. We've got some more offices along here, and then we've actually got some residential. So high density and medium density residential with their little fountains and all that kind of stuff added in now. So pretty happy with this area, how it's kind of coming together. Still little bits to fill in and make it look a bit more natural, but happy enough with it, considering its non-grid-like shape, yeah, for the roads. So happy enough with that. But we're going to build a bit more of a grid-like sort of estate down here. I'm just trying to think what the spacing would actually need to be for this. Just bear with me 1 second while I figure that out. Alright, I think I've got some general spacing worked out. So we're going to start here and just bring this straight down, hopefully keeping our zones intact. So we've got a gap in between for a pathway to kind of roll between these. So we'll just go to our pathway tool. I'll just place that down as well. First, bonk. Okay, so using the adding objects, we go to the buildings tab, residential, and then scroll down to medium density residential in EU. Now I've typed in L1 to symbolize that we want a level 1 building. I don't want to be cheating, popping down level 2s, level 5s, or whatever. We're just going to use level 1s and let them grow that way. But this way, we actually get to decide how they look before we put them down. So I've gotten much more familiar with these now. So I'm going to use 4x6s. And so that's 4 across from this perspective, and then 6 deep. So I'll just pause time for this, actually. We can actually kind of configure them to be the color and stuff we want, which could be kind of cool. Alright, I was just working on some spacing. So I think I'll go with the 3x6, right? So we'll pop this one down with a bit more space to the side in case there's an overpass next to them. So something like this, 3 gap, and then a 2 gap in between. Should bring us right to the edge, like that. So I'm happy about that. So we've given them more of a space here, because there could be an overpass going across here, possibly in the future. I'm thinking of probably doing one here as well. We'll see about that. Alright, so we have our buildings in place now. Now something we could actually do is we could force them to be the same color, if we really wanted to. Bit of trial and error. I don't know if there's another way of doing this, but if you just press B for the bulldoze tool, and then B again, it regenerates the building, so you'll get different colors. So this one would be the same then. This one looks like it's also the same. This one isn't. That one is. So there's not actually many variations. Probably only like 5 or 6. So is that the same color? I think one of them is slightly different there, actually. So maybe we could try that one again. Yeah. There you go. You can force them to all look like they were built the exact same. Same spacing. And then we can add some detailing and stuff in between them. I'm just thinking that these buildings, the taller they go, the more space between them I want. To prevent that like overly cluttered feel, but also like they have windows and stuff. It just feels wrong that they'd be looking straight into each other's windows. So it's like they have to be built with a gap, really. Now obviously you can see that they're all condemned, and that's just because we have to actually zone the area. So medium density housing, just grab our zone tool and we just fill these little pockets out, I guess. In fact, I think we can, yeah, just do that, the fill tool on the building itself. So that's perfect. Great, love it. All right, so now on the other side, want a bit more variety. Maybe we'll go with some irregular sizes and shapes. So we could have a much bigger one now here at the back on the corner. Maybe a 4x6. And maybe a 6x6 in here. Just some variety. A little bit of random shapes and stuff and sizes. So again, you want a little bit more clearance maybe, so perhaps something like this, 4x6 here. That's actually a really nice looking building. Do another one down the end. I'm just being a bit random here, just trying to shake it up a bit. Alright, there we go. Little estate. So yeah, so let's just do medium density. Bonk, bonk. And that gets them rid of being condemned. Now we can hide the home menu now. Alright. So again, we'll go with the pathway that just rolls up between the two. Yep. Excuse me. And then, yeah, we just need to zone those guys. Alright, and there we go. Oh, it's kind of nice. It's very robotic and a bit dystopian because they're so evenly spaced and everything. But yeah, I think it works. It's better than them being all on top of each other. So the next thing then, school. We're desperate for schools in this town, so we'll pop in the school right here. We'll give it 2 playgrounds, I guess, and maybe the children's clinic in at the back. We will also add the extension wing, just to make it bigger. So 1,500 capacity for students. Operating districts, we want it to be Elk Heights and Fairview, and I guess Sunset Valley if anyone lives there. I guess some people do. Yeah, there's 2 schools up here. I suppose you could say, like, just Elk Heights. How many people live here? 650 residents, 28 children. Obviously, it's new people are moving in all the time, though. But yeah, I think it's fine. I don't mind them moving around a bit to get to where they need to go. Because the elementary school situation is just so crazy in this game. There's a ton of mods that change that, but I read the feedback. People don't really want me messing with the balance of the game, and I agree. I didn't really want to do that anyway. Right, so next thing, large park. Large city park. Pop one in right around here, behind the school. Sorry it's so bright. But something like that. We're right up against the edge of their playgrounds. Alright, something like that. And then maybe, yeah, just a collection of other parks and stuff down here. So we have the dog park, which could go there. Is that big enough? What else do we have? Small playground. Playground, dog park. It's fine by me. Now, with the dog park, because money's basically infinite for us at this point. There we go. I wanted it to have that sand texture underneath. Looks a bit better. A bit more uniform. And then, yeah, we can bring maybe this over towards here. Something like that. Alright, so yeah, just made a quick adjustment with that. So it's a bit of a test. You know, using Anarchy, I was able to connect the path straight into the park. So that's a pretty big game changer. So I haven't obviously done the detailing to fill in the grass and stuff, but this could be a really nice looking area then, if we did that, if I do a bit of detailing here as well in the future. And we could have multiple pathways that kind of cut out from here to go into this residential area as well if we wanted to in the future. But we'll just leave it like that for now, see how we get on. I'd just be very curious to see if anyone uses this. I don't know if they will. Basically, if they enter in the park from the back, that's game changing, in my opinion. But anyway. Alright, so yeah, let's let time play, see how we're getting on with that. And we can check in on our subway now. I don't know if it's been running for a few minutes or how long it's been going. So 36 passengers are waiting over at the train. So the bottom on this kind of circular line here would be the train station over at Hawkstown. So we have 48 out of 1,080 riding it at the moment, just arriving in. And we have 53 waiting. What about on the other side of things? 29, 31, 0. I think I need more time to pass. It's only been 2 or 3 in-game hours since we actually deployed it. So we'll just wait for a little bit longer. How are the trains out here? Yeah, so this keeps happening. The trains keep getting completely backed up. I got to redo the lines out here. There's something crazy going on with it. Turning that on and off doesn't solve it either. Just disconnect this for a second. Let the trains flush out. Figure out where they're trying to go. Yeah, I think in the next episode, industry and rail needs to be fixed so we can focus on industry up there. We have a lot of not enough customers now. God damn. Alright, let's just reconnect that now that things are moving again. Okay, 3:20 a.m. Not enough customers anywhere down here. Despite all of our efforts and all these new people moving in all the time, even down this way. These buildings are all totally full of 426 people living in that one. Could add another 1 or 2 down here. Might be kind of nice. Alright, we've got a couple extra houses thrown in there now. We'll see how they develop. Again, detailing still needs to be considered as we come across the bridge. Pass by a couple of those buildings, then we see the big hotel. See even more in the distance. Yeah, kind of cool. A bit chaotic, but kind of cool. So hopefully as more and more people move in here, it might be a bit loud being right next to trams and a tattoo studio, apparently. Things like that, hearing the buzzing of needles. Also parking, not the best place to live necessarily. But I guess you're close to shops and things, and you have a nice view of the water, depending on which place you're in. I mean, these ones on this side, premium to get a view of the other side of the city. In fact, let's have a little look down on the ground, what things look like. Alright, so we're just down in first person mode right now. We're just at the front of this guy's bike, and yeah, these are the buildings we placed. Just thought it would be a bit of a better perspective we could kind of see on certain things. Obviously, I haven't done the detailing for it, and when you're down here, the sound seems to kind of break. Sometimes it's on, sometimes it's not. I think it's based on the speed, and we were traveling pretty fast earlier, so it's almost like the game doesn't have time to catch up in terms of the sound effects. Got a bit of traffic down here. Yeah, so the camera will just clip through the ground. It always just bases the height off of the terrain height. So obviously a key wall, the terrain goes all the way down. It's a bit glitchy, but still really good effect otherwise. You really get a sense of scale and perspective for a lot of the buildings and things. And you actually get to really appreciate how good a lot of the buildings in this game look, I think. Just in terms of detail and everything, so yeah. They're almost there, they're getting there. We can also take over a person. Well, we can't take them over, I can't control where they move, but take their perspective, I guess. So I'm just like in their head right now. This is kind of what they're seeing. Along our pedestrian streets down at the sunset. Quite nice. Sunny day, summertime. Well, it's 5:50 a.m. right now. We could turn on the day-night cycle soon, actually. Maybe it's 6:30. See what things look like. But yeah, people had asked me to do those motorcycle rides and things again that we've done in previous episodes, so I just thought we'd take a moment to kind of get down on the ground here. Have a look around. People are absolutely freaky, but other than that, things are looking pretty good. Alright. Actually, we could just run up here. I don't know if I showed people this. It's just a little cut-through path that takes you from the sunset up to the other area. And one thing we're going to do now is, and I've learned to be a bit better with, I think, is trying to get up and down from our retaining walls. I'm not sure if this is realistic in many cities, having these massive walls. Normally you'd have steps that go up and down them. And we just can't do that in the game yet, I don't think. But also, they wouldn't go on that long with no points of coming up and down. Although Rome kind of did, down to the river, but that's a bit different. But yeah, anyway, sorry, that's the cut through here. So it's a little pathway that curls down. So let's hop out now. We'll do first person again a little bit later. Let me know what you think. If you want to see more stuff in first person after we build it, we'll hop down to it for sure. So this is just where we were. I'm going to also put down a low density commerce. We need more low density commerce in the city if we want to unlock the unique commercial buildings. So just a few of those could help out a lot. I think the city is coming along really nicely now. Really, really happy with how it's taken shape. That's another thing I did is I colored all these buildings to be the same. I think that kind of helps. Makes the place look a bit more purpose-built, I suppose. Alright, how are we doing for the subway now? It's 6:20 a.m. You'd imagine a lot of people will be getting on and getting off it as the commute winds or begins. So what do we have? 183 on this one. Coming up to this stop here. So let's see. The two middle points are these stops here in the center. So it depends on which direction you're going. 90 and 3. So 93 in total. Got a bunch of people about to get off. 183 coming over from Hawkstown. Yeah, so 150 people just got out. And they've taken my new little pedestrian car. Look how busy this is now. Wow. Crazy. Could maybe get some field of view on these guys. So many people. So they're getting the tram, they're walking up this way, coming down, getting the metro, or they're going across into the other parts of the city, maybe where they parked their car or whatever. Quite happy with this. I think it's coming together. These are all the people coming out now. And we're now serving this area too, right? We've got another stop here. So my thinking here was that it's tempting to put like a stop here and another one like closer and another one closer. It's just that I think it makes more sense to have them a bit more spread out, because we do also have a tram and buses going around. So it's like, yeah, get the tram for your closer stops. You know, the trams stop fairly close to each other, whereas the subway I think should be a bit more spaced out and also get people to more difficult to reach areas, like if they're trying to go up certain levels and things. So that's at least my thought process there. So have we had any takers in these houses? Yeah, we've got people moved in. That's great. What about the school? 590 students already. All right, 7 a.m. Let's turn on the day-night visuals. Oh, beautiful, huh? Look at that. Absolutely gorgeous. All right, so what else do we need to be building? So I was going to get rid of this old bridge now, so it looks a mess. And we're going to connect up to the retaining wall. So something I've been meaning to do is lower the retaining wall. It's too big. So the way I'm going to do that is simply just grab the key points like this, and then we're just going to bring it down a bit. Maybe about there. It's quite a considerable drop. Let's see what height we're at now. Yeah, it looks like we're at 15. Oh, we're at 16. Wow, we actually brought it down a lot, and it's still quite high. Maybe that's fine, though. 16? That might be okay. Now, what we can also do is just lower this, sink this down into the ground with it. So maybe that would have been just a smarter thing. Just replace this. Bonk. There we go. Alright, well anyway, that's not going to be there in the future. Right, so the thing I wanted to do then was create a pedestrian street that just really just connects straight up from here. So we'll start on the zone grid, 90-degree angle, don't need the side of building on. This is now going to be our target height, if we can just level this out a bit. So that's our target height. I'll select right there. So just straight up like that. This can go. And using the medium road tool, we'll just see if we can reconnect that first. I think that I have to do that. It's a bit weird, but that's okay. We'll clean it up. We'll clean it up in the edit. Right, so pedestrian street. This music's so intense. Let's just switch it up a bit. Let's start in the center, I guess. And I can turn that off now. The only thing is, it just feels like it's... maybe it hasn't. I was going to say it looks like it's sloping a lot towards the end, but then not at the beginning. But no, it actually looks totally fine. Thinking about it, though, should that have been a retaining wall that goes up with it? Possibly. So there is now... I've got a mod that lets me build a retaining wall as an upgrade onto something. There's also one that's a key wall. But let's just do retaining on both sides. And then we'll flatten the terrain now. So level that back out. Hasn't quite worked though, has it? It's still doing the terrain thing. What about key wall? Yeah, so it seems like key works, but retaining maybe doesn't. Retaining seems to actually bring the land up with it. Don't know why. Retaining wall. If you install this mode, you know what it is. Well, apparently I don't. Elevated mode. Kind of similar to bridges. Yeah. Alright, I guess we'll go with key. I guess that's what I've been using. Yeah, that's what I've been using. Okay. Or what the effect we've been getting is a key wall. Okay, cool. Yeah, well, at least we got there in the end. We can get rid of this now and get rid of this. And maybe slope it back out. I suppose there's really no need for that slope anymore. We could just level this completely out. I had said before that I was okay with that slope, but now it's like, yeah, I guess there's really no... Why wouldn't they flatten this if they could? Yeah, it hasn't caused any problems. Alright, so the buildings have just moved a little bit closer. And there's no more grid space there, so we'll just leave it as is. And then we could have a path or something going in that way too. Yeah, it looks a little bit better, right? So a nice little pedestrian. It's not a way for people to get up and down. It's just it's for people walking. Sorry, it's not a way for cars to get up and down. I want it to be pedestrian only as you get up to various other places like that. I want another one somewhere here next to the car park. So I'm just going to do that one next as well. So trying to do it a bit quicker. If we go with the slope terrain tool, now that the slope has been decided for us, choose this location here. So I just think we need more places for people to be able to get up and down as we start to build up the upper levels of these retaining walls slash, I suppose, key walls. So again, I don't know if I should make it a key. No, I think you just upgrade it after the fact. That's fine. Alright, so another pedestrian crossing to bring you all the way up there. I've got it to be fairly level, but it's not perfect. It's I gotta be honest, it's quite difficult. One of the, again, another mod tool from the previous game that I loved was the slope tool. Like, you could use move it, but then select 2 points and it would just kind of balance it out. Oh, actually, I don't think it was the move tool. It was like a network multi-tool, I think it was called. Anyway, yeah, I'm sure all this stuff will come eventually. Exciting times. But yeah, still pretty happy with it though overall, you know, another pedestrian crossing way to get up. I think it's quite nice. The city's starting to really kind of come into its own. Still need to kind of figure out what to do at the backs of some of these places. That's something I've been kind of wondering for a while. It was something I struggled with initially over at the Sunset area. And also, by the way, look at this. A lot of the pips are all gone now for not enough customers. Is it just because we added 2 buildings, or is it just the natural fluctuations of the economy? It is 8 a.m. How's our traffic, actually, thinking about it? So we've got a lot of traffic coming in here. Oh, actually, this is a great showcase here. Check this out. This is the reason why I used roundabouts before, although we had other problems with them. Right, so as we get off the highway here, 2 lanes and 1 lane, we have 3 lanes as we get in. It then becomes 4 lanes at this point, right? So there's traffic lights here to allow people to get out. It's one way, right, on Briar Rose Street. So you can go left or right, and whatever. That's never really been a problem. It's not like we have tons of people coming out all the time. All right, so as people are making their way in, we've got 4 lanes now. And on the far left lane, we have the slipway to get you in just immediately into the left side of the Fairview. The 3 other lanes, we actually keep them as 4, so you can kind of go straight or left, I guess, here, which might be part of the problem, I suppose. Because you might be in here to go straight, and that could block things. But anyway, what's really happening is people are trying to shift over to the right last minute because they want to turn right. And that's fair enough. We've got traffic lights here. And when these lights go green... So basically, the way the traffic lights work is, let's say that this is north, south, east, and west. When the traffic lights go green, they go green for north and south. And then they go green for east and west. And that's it. There's no, like, green for north and east, right? So it's like, yeah, you can go forward and turn right before these guys can. Do you know what I mean? There's no directional traffic lights. It's either just everyone can go on north and south, or everyone can go on west or east. And because of that, this is what we're going to get. We're going to get these guys coming forward and these having to stop and wait here to cross, even though the light's green. And there's nothing you can do about that in the game yet. And that causes really inefficient traffic lights that causes like a lot of backups. It'll get flushed out, but I mean, there's really... I know I say this a lot, but I don't think there's anything I can do about that until we get... Just even just traffic lights that would do this. Green, 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 green. Like in order. That'd be great. Now I know mods do that in the old game, but I want them to do it. I want Colossal Order to realize that this is not how traffic lights should work. And then there's just, look at all the lanes. Like, no one's using all these lanes because everyone's just trying to get to the right. And there's 2 lanes for turning right, but they don't forward plan very well. That's interesting as well. I guess this is causing a bit of a backup as people are trying to get into this building to do their shopping. That's part of it, I guess, too. It's not the full story, though. The traffic light thing, I think, is a much bigger problem. And then this, yeah, that is interesting. As they come out of here, they're actually blocking the slipway completely. That's alright. Anyway, that is peak rush hour, 9 a.m. A lot of people getting the metro, though. Love to see it. Flooding down into the underground. So what do we have in there now? 47 on one side and 3 on the other. With 63 passengers just left and 110 left in the opposite direction. Getting over to Hawkstown. So we just arrived over in Hawkstown. They're coming out now. Can't see them. I wish we could have a little camera, a little surveillance camera down there just to see all the people on the escalators and stuff. That'd be kind of cool. Alright, so what have we done so far today? So, I'll try to think. We've done all that detailing, got familiar with mods, we've expanded out this way, still wanted to expand, and we've added some pedestrian crossings and our metro system. Yeah, well, that's a decent amount, but there was still one last bit I wanted to do out here. So let's try and do that kind of quickly. So I wanted to connect this road straight over. Alright, so in doing this road, we'll go straight out here to 184, and bring this... Don't really want to get rid of that in totality just yet, so let me just put down a little node on this thing. There we go. Right, so this can come over now. 160. We're left with a little block there. I'm just trying to think exactly what I'd even want to fill this with. So we have offices on this side. I would say regular low-density commercial here, across from the offices, and then maybe behind the low-density commercial, housing. What do y'all think of them apples? I'm happy enough with them apples. So yeah, let's connect this. That's an alley, sorry, I wanted a pathway. That actually connects up. Yeah, that could look okay. Yeah, nice. That works out. So then we need somewhere that's a sort of in-between point. That would probably be good. Alright, good zoning there. Something like that. Alright, cool. So yeah, what we could do now is just go with our low density commerce. I don't really care what appears. Anything can happen there, as long as it fits. And then we basically want some, I guess, maybe high density, but like a low tier high density, if you know what I mean. Like a small high density. Row housing. But no. There we go. So 2x4, 2x5. Things like this, I think, would look kind of good here. And the gardens and stuff out the back could look decent. We can merge them all so they kind of look like one bigger communal area. That's a 2x5. So we need other things that are by 5. That's massive. 3x5. Or other things that are just 2 actually would make sense. We have different sized gardens and stuff. So it's 2x2. 4x4. It's obviously a big building. It could look good on the corner maybe. Ooh, yeah, 3x6. I like the look of them. Yeah, that's too big. We'll go with the 3x6s. They look good. Now, we still have this area here. I think we could bring that out and connect over to that side or something, so let's try that. A little bit broken there, of course, but what can you do? Alright, yeah, so it'd be kind of worth having either really dense trees in between the two, just so you can't see, or even little barriers or something, but the barriers are quite big in the game, so I feel like there's not much you can do about that. You know, it would have to look like something like that. A tree is poking through, but we can just move it. In fact, before all these trees get destroyed, we could just move them over here. That'd look a lot better as well. Because they're fully grown. Let's just pretend they were planted here, okay? Please. Nice, cool. Yeah, so I'm not too sure what's going to go in here other than I know I need at least one car park, or I want one. Still don't know how to get rid of the one I made, by the way. So I haven't used it, but I just don't even know how to get rid of it. So this way you would have to turn in to get into it. Am I okay with that? Just trying to think of the placement of this. So you're driving along, you take a left turn, then you take another left to get in, take a right turn, then you'd be coming out. That makes this junction a little bit busier. I think it's okay. Could have 2 here, actually, if you really wanted. I was tempted to even put in another school, because this is, Oh no, it's not actually filling up that crazy. That's good. Oh, actually, I did want to put in another school over here. So I forgot about this. So there are a couple of offices here that actually grew really nicely, but I'm sorry to say they're going to be removed. We have the big city now with their big offices. So you can move over there if you want to live there, or you want to work in an office. So an elementary school would fit perfectly here. And I never really supplied... That was my biggest failing in the design of this place, is I never supplied it with an elementary school. It has a university and a train station and stuff, but naively I just kind of thought, you know, the schools that we had would be enough, but they're not. So another one here I think would do wonders, but we'll have to just trim a little bit of the pathway around this area, and then we can squeeze it in just around here. So those houses are going to be loving that. Increase this. Can't really put in any accoutrements, so we'll just leave it as is. We'll do the old freeform tool, turn off everything, turn on the snap to existing geometry. But it keeps doing that, where it's chipping away a little bit of the zoning, but it only does it after I place the first, or the second bit, weirdly. You'd think if it was going to do it, it would do it at the beginning. So I'm wondering, can I snake around? Yeah, there we go. Maybe a little strange, but at least it keeps the houses intact. But yeah, if you have any ideas what could go in this little spot here, let me know. But I think we're going to leave it there for today. So we have our little shops that... Oh yeah, actually, just before we wrap up... That place is so loud. We'll have a little walk around. So let's do that. So check out some of the areas we built with our detailing. So that's the car park. So there's our 3 big financial, or at least I always say financial. They're not necessarily finance. They're actually, a lot of them are software. But our 3 big high-density offices. These are the new things we've just placed down. Little petrol station has just opened up on the corner. That's a very frequent thing to happen with low-density commerce, is petrol stations. So kind of cool to see that popping up there. Make our way in. We have our 3 big offices. Now this is where I did some of the detailing around the back, right? So around the back, I added in all this stuff. So we have some kiosks, a kind of a bigger sort of plaza, some shelter, a big statue, big head statue of the CEO that runs the place. Yeah, for this one I went with standing stones and a sort of fountain in the center with some benches and things to kind of look in on it. I wasn't sure if the benches should face out towards the path or in towards the plaza, but considering that there are food carts and things here, it seemed to make sense that they face in. And I was trying to make sure they're not being blocked by the stones themselves either. But yep, tables and chairs and stuff then for people to kind of hang out and get their lunch and eat. Unfortunately, obviously nobody sits on any of these things. Maybe one day in the future they'll use these things, I don't know. Or a mod will do it. Again, just more stuff around the back of this one. I keep pressing space to try and jump, but I can't do that. And yeah, little stalls and things to sell different things. Then we've got our flower beds and trees and just benches and stuff to kind of hang out. Then we're up to the Nakatomi Plaza, the 3 or 4, actually sorry, it's 4 tall buildings for fine offices again. One of which is the biggest building that we can get. In the game, it's this one right here. So that's as big as they get. I know some people are unhappy with that. They want them to go even taller, but even if you choose North America, they don't get any higher than that, as far as I know. Apart from the milestone buildings, the landmark buildings. And we've our little flats or apartments that are across from the college. We can actually go in this way and in and around the back of the college, which was a little kind of back street we built. So we're kind of into the commercial area now, right? High density commerce, the trams are rolling by. We'll take our back streets around the back of the college library, which is there. All these extra shrubs and things were added as well, and then we can go through and out to the main street. So Tempest Street is what this is called, Tempest. Hospital obviously there. We have our new crematorium that is just across this area. This felt like a good spot for, again, some sort of pedestrian crossing. I guess there is one over there, but I was thinking on this side. This is just extra trees placed by me. Look at the detail. The one thing that's really weird in this game, right, I've just paused it. The randomly high resolution textures on things. It's extremely high definition. But then also, the veins on the guy's eye. What's going on with this? I think they actually said that they didn't make these models, that they were done by contract work, some port studio that does them. They have extremely high detail on the skin and the eyeball. How gross is that? It's like, yeah, we need like 4K resolution eyeballs, please. And they wonder why the game's not running very well for people. Alright, anyways. So yeah, that's that. Let's, yeah, so there might be a crossing from here. Whoop. Autosave. Crossing from here that leads straight over this way. And that might cut down on some of the necessity for crosswalks here and maybe help the traffic a bit. Might be a good idea. Anyway, so yeah, then we have our crematorium and our placed in bushes or hedges with some gaps that we've left by accident. Well, that's kind of nice. I like the bushes and the hedgerows there really kind of obfuscate and hide what the building is a bit, which is good, I think. Tons of people on the streets. These are our mixed zoning kind of streets now as well. So still touching up some of the buildings here, but on the right side I did a bit more work with them. So you have our elementary schools that are back to back, and then we have the mixed residential districts here. So just the shops on the bottom, the residential on the top, and it's a nice, much bigger, more uniform block now that goes the whole way down. Haven't seen any trams going by lately, have I? There's one. She's loving it. She absolutely loves this place. She's like, the trams are so efficient. Let me just soak in the sights and smells of the tram. And that tram rolls all the way down, where it lets off a lot more people, I would bet, at the next platform, which is just down here. Yes, tons of people want to get on here, and I'm sure tons of people want to get off. So where do they cross? Oh, they have to go down here to cross, yeah. So they cross over, they take the pathway up and over, and then they're at the metro. Yeah, okay. Well, anyway, just getting very familiar with it myself, I guess. It kind of jolts you around when you do that. Alright, so that was a sort of a day in the life of the city in some ways. Still have a lot of traffic backing up as people are trying to get in, making those last minute lane changes. Again, not my fault really, is it? Why can't they just decide that further back? I don't understand what the problem there is. How are they getting on as they come in now? Ah, it's a lot better now, yeah. Alright, cool. That's going to have to be it for today. This was a fun one. I feel like I'm not making much progress since we've gone to big high density. I'm kind of getting really bogged down on just a few little districts. So we just built this area, this, all of this. Just feels like it's not that much, you know. I need to kind of be thinking a bit bigger picture, I think. So let's try to do that next episode, or get to the point where we're building out the industry a bit more. Don't like seeing unemployment rise, so we want to get ahead of that before it gets too bad. But we also just need lots more people. We're up to 45,000. We want to push it up to like 60,000 in one episode or something, you know? That'd be nice. So next for me is kind of filling this, starting to work up here, and maybe doing some stuff up at the industrial area too. Alright, so that's going to have to be it for today. Thank you very much. By the way, if you want to see anything in particular in the city that you haven't seen, such as traffic information or any information and stuff like that that I haven't touched on in a while, just let me know, and we'll have a look at it. So that's traffic flow. That doesn't look too good. Traffic volume, though. Traffic flow looks awful, thinking about it here at the end. It's not, though, is it? I don't know, man. That seems fine to me. Unless we're getting backed up beyond multiple junctions, I wouldn't necessarily list this as, like, bad. I think the thresholds in this game are just vastly different than they were in the previous game. Like, here, yeah, for sure. That's bad. That should be, like, dark red. Something bad going on there. Everyone's trying to take a left turn. I think they're still trying to get into their new homes, by the way. That's probably what's happening. Or they're coming back from work. It is 7 o'clock. Yeah. Alright, I gotta work on some bus routes and transportation things. Because, yeah, they should definitely be able to just get the train up to there. Cut down on all the traffic and stuff. And subway routes, I suppose, as well. Should get you most of the way, if not all the way. So I'll keep working on it. Alright, that's gonna have to be it for me. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.